Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Teching and Barry here, and in today's video, oh yes, you all know what it's about already. We're gonna go fast. Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. Gotta go faster, faster, faster. I've never played a single Sonic game in my life. I'm just basing this off of an old cartoon when I was growing up. I don't even know which. I know there was a few Sonic cartoons. I think this was the one on 4Kids. Don't remember what it was called, but it had a very catchy theme song, and that's where I remember it from. Oh god, I don't know. I'm gonna ask something here, and I don't know if I want the answer, but I'll just throw it out anyway. Which Sonic game should I play if I'm ever going to play a single Sonic game? For some reason, like thunderclap in the distance. I feel like I just opened up Pandora's box a little bit and just shut it, shut it, shut it. There's people out there that are like, you know, in the comments already, it's just like, first of all, don't start with any of these Sonic games. They all suck. And then somebody will respond to that, be like, I like those Sonic games. And it's like, no, those suck. You suck. And then it's like, guys, I don't, yeah, I take it back. I take it back. Let's talk about One Piece. Okay. So in this video, we're going to be discussing the fastest character in all of One Piece. Immediately, you're probably going to go with Kizaru because, you know, he does have the ability of the Pika Pika no Mi, which literally gives him the ability to transform into light and therefore move at the speed of light. But even that is a contentious thing, honestly, because then you start getting into, I think the main issue here is there's real world physics and then there's anime physics, you know what I mean? Traveling at light speed here, you know, in the real world, at least, you know, humans doing that, pretty impossible. Can't really do that all too much. And there's a bunch of reasons that you can't, that I don't understand, but I'm just going to go along with the idea that you just can't travel at light speed. I think the big issue is you need a infinite or near infinite amount of energy, which we just don't have. But there's other issues why you can't travel at light speed. And you have Kizaru, right? And he could turn into light. And so it's like, okay, well, if he could turn into light, then therefore he would travel at light speed because he's made of light. But I've seen a lot of people being like, well, no, he couldn't travel at light speed because of these reasons in physics. And it's like, yeah, but it's anime, so I feel like light speed is just an anime term for, oh my god, that guy's like really, really fast, okay? So suffice to say, Kizaru is fast, but is he the fastest character in the entire story? There's some other people to consider here. First and foremost, if you just want to know who the fastest member of the Straw Hats are, Oda was very nice and already revealed that. The Straw Hats, if they were to compete in a foot race, and I don't know if it's actually clarified if they were allowed to use all their devil fruit abilities or powers or like mess with each other during the race, but I think it's just like if the Straw Hats were to get into a foot race like at a track somewhere and then just run, this is the order that they would you know, complete that race. So first we have Brook, because he's very light. We actually don't know how much Brook weighs, but it's not very much, so he actually comes in first. Congratulations, Brook, you get the gold crown there. Next up, we have Sanji. Makes sense, given the fact Sanji, you know, fights with his legs a lot. He definitely does not skip leg day. Sanji can run really fast. He can even run on the water and run on the air. I'm actually really surprised he did not come in first, but whatever. Moving on to number 3, we have Luffy. Now, this SBS came out before Luffy's Gear 5th was revealed, so I would actually imagine Luffy could quite literally burn rubber on the track here, so he might actually come in first now. Moving on to number 4, we have Chopper. Of course, in his walk point, you know, having 4 legs to work with is much better than 2. 5th place is actually surprising. We have Zoro, and Oda actually clarifies the reason Zoro came in so low is because he probably got lost somewhere around the track. He probably got distracted and ran off somewhere and ended up outside in the parking lot. Although, even keeping that in mind as a handicap, Zoro still manages to get back into the race and finish in 5th place, so good for him, I suppose. Following Zoro, we have Usopp in 6th place, Nami in 7th, Robin in 8th, and originally, Frankie was the one that came in dead last, because when this SBS came out, it was in volume 85, and that was before Jinbei was an official member of the crew. But now that Jinbei is here, this changes the order of things a little bit. It was actually revealed in the One Piece Knowledge King contest, that big, epic, like, official trivia contest that's done in Japan, and it was actually revealed there that Jinbei would come in 10th place. That's right, Jinbei is now dead last, which I'm not really sure why. I feel like Jinbei should be able to run faster than many people on this list. If you were to ask me if Jinbei was faster than Nami, Robin, Usopp, and Frankie, I would say yes. Maybe putting him in 6th place right behind Zoro, or actually right above Zoro, because Zoro would have definitely gotten lost. So, yeah, it's things like that I have to wonder about, but whatever, that's the official ranking. So if you just wanted to know who the fastest Straw Hat was, there's a lot of this that doesn't really apply anymore, and you would question, like, this doesn't make much sense, and maybe Oda didn't take it too seriously. Go figure! But, yeah, that's just the Straw Hats, though. So some other really fast characters in the story before we even get back to Kizaru. Well, let's address Kuma, I guess, because, well, he's another character that light speed is actually mentioned officially in the story, and that's another thing too. I had to go back because there's another character we're going to be talking about later that purportedly can move faster than light speed, but I'm pretty sure that's more of a meme, if anything. One of those internet rumors that got started way back in the long ago and still permeates to this day. But first, let's talk about Kuma. Well, it just so happens that I conveniently have One Piece Volume 50 right here. The end of the Thriller Bark arc and arriving at the Sabaody arc. To commemorate that time, Brook joined the Straw Hat crew, escaping the torturous confinements and isolation of the Florian Triangle for 50 years, only to be a part of the Straw Hats for 2 weeks before he got separated again from them. Fun times. Anyway, in chapter 484, we have the fight between Bartholomew, Kuma, and Roronoa Zoro. And they're fighting a little bit, bouncing around. Zoro fires one of his 36 caliber Phoenix at Kuma. He just kind of uses his paw fruit to reject it. Everybody's kind of wondering, like, what is his ability? How's he doing that? And Kuma reveals that he ate the paw fruit and became a paw-palmed human. And so all the Straw Hats are like, that's weird. And this is also the funny little scene where Robin is picturing the cat with the paws, like, meow, meow, you know? And Frankie actually is there. And Frankie, I love Frankie. You know, he's my favorite Straw Hat, my favorite character in One Piece. But there's a line Frankie has here which makes me kind of... You were sort of asking for it, Frankie. Frankie's like, a paw devil fruit, huh? Yeah, guys, I admit I don't know much about the 7 warlords, but if all this guy's got going for him is paw pads on his hands, I think we could take him out no problem. Piece of cake. Boom! As if Kuma is like, oh really, huh? Boom! Air cannon right through Frankie's stomach, and he goes down, which, like I said, you sort of asked for that, Frankie. I mean, you know what I mean? Anyway, after he knocks out Frankie, all the Straw Hats are like, what? That's crazy. Even a regular cannon blast can't take down Frankie. What's going on here? To which Kuma responds with, and this is the official Viz translation, mind you, I call it the pad cannon. Air pressure deflected at light speed, creating a piercing shock wave. No mercy. Okay, so... Honestly, I don't know what's more impressive here. The fact that Kuma is able to fire an attack at light speed by his own admission, or the fact that Frankie did not immediately get atomized and was able to survive an attack at light speed. Or Kuma could have just been lying, too. That could have also been a thing, just for dramatic effect, you know? You know, this is the reason I don't do power scaling videos very much. Because then you got, like, this whole... Honestly speaking, you could have a whole college class built around the process or the complexities of power scaling in anime. You really could. You really could. Because it's like, hello class, today we will be discussing the differences between reaction speed and top speed. You know, running versus dodging attacks. Those are very different things we must discuss today. Now, there will be a quiz this Friday. So, you know, and then we get into all that kind of stuff. Like, remember that old time-tested equation? If Madara Uchiha, once he combines with the Ten Tails, has a lightning fang jutsu that is able to launch at light speed, does that mean it can travel light speed out of his mouth, or when he summons the light fang, he still has to move his head? Because he moves his head not at light speed, so even though the attack itself can travel at light speed, it is still limited by Madara's own movements, which will allow Naruto and Sasuke to dodge said light fang jutsu. Tell you what, honestly, somebody wants to teach that class in college, you have a whole semester, you could easily fit stuff in there, okay? Anyway, so Kuma stated that he can fire air pressure cannons at light speed. He did not say at near light speed or anything like that. He said light speed. So I guess the idea is that when Kuma moves his hand, he has to physically still move his hand, but once it reaches a certain point, he could just fire off an air cannon, and it's an instantaneous attack. Now, Zoro was able to dodge a few of those, so that once again brings up the whole reaction speed argument, to which I am going to say, while some techniques that Kuma is capable of are moving at light speed, he did not clarify that every single thing he does with his devil fruit moves at light speed. A good example of this is when he rejects people in the bubble and sends them flying away. That takes like 3 days to reach their destination. He could probably send somebody anywhere on the planet, or maybe even outside of the planet if he really wanted to, beyond the exosphere and the atmosphere. Maybe he could send somebody to the moon with his ability. Actually, considering where we are right now in Egghead, and Kuma and Bonnie are playing an integral role here, maybe at some point if the Straw Hats ever do need to go to the moon, maybe they'll use Kuma's ability to do so. Maybe S-Bear can use the power or something like that. Anyway, that is clearly not light speed, because if that's the case, when he sent Luffy flying to Amazon Lily, Luffy should have arrived at Amazon Lily in easily less than a second. Then you can question, of course, that, wait a second, well, obviously he can't send humans flying at light speed, because, humans would not be able to survive the trip, although they are in a bubble, which is sort of protecting them from everything around them. Like, they were able to crash through mountains in order to reach their destination, so perhaps the bubble would protect them with light speed travel. And he's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then I stop and I'm just like, wait a second, I forgot. It's anime. All right? So fine, sure. I'm actually, at this point, like, Kuma can fire light speed pressure cannons and some people can dodge them. Sure, why not, right? I don't think Kuma can literally move that fast, though. Dude, if I ever could make one rule to cover and encompass all of manga, not even all of manga, but all of fiction from here to come, the rule would be you're not allowed to give your characters light speed anything. I don't care. You're not allowed to do it, all right? If you want to mention light speed in, like, theoretical physics or whatever, fine. But you're not allowed to have a fictional character that's like, I can move at light speed. It's just, oh God, that gives me so many headaches. All right? Oh, man, I should go back to physics class. All right, yeah, okay. Anyway, so that's the situation with Kuma. He didn't actually say that he can, fly at light speed or anything like that. He just said his pressure cannons fire at light speed. For some people, that'll be a big difference. For other people, it isn't. He's just like, if he can fire the air cannons at light speed, that means he is capable of traveling at light speed. All right. But you know what? I'll tell you something. There's one character on this list that you just are underestimating. Maybe some of the older One Piece fans know all about this character. But if you're fairly new to One Piece, or if you don't spend a lot of your time looking around to see like power scaling and everything like that, you may be unaware of what peak performance looks like in the One Piece world. Are you guys ready? I will show you the top tier body in all of One Piece, built for breakneck speeds. Lucky Roux. Lucky Roux could kill you 1,000,000 times before you even hit the ground. Lucky Roux could kill you so fast that you don't even realize your soul leaves your body before your heart even stops. That's how fast Lucky Roux is. All right, so for those of you, for the uninitiated, that have no idea where this joke even comes from, like, wait a second, is he the fastest character in One Piece? I have no idea. And then the older One Piece fans are like, yeah, Lucky Roux! Video's over right here. All right, so I had to do some research into this. I had to dig this up, because for as long as I've been reviewing One Piece, every once in a while I'll see this in the comments section. It's more frequent. It's frequent enough to the point where it's like, this isn't just one person joking around. There has to be something else going on here, okay? And the joke is, Lucky Roux is the fastest One Piece character, all right? And so I went in to research this. I'm like, where does this come from? And from what I can understand, this is not based on anything that Oda himself said. And Oda did not have an SBS where he said Lucky Roux is the fastest One Piece character, or he can move beyond the speed of light, or he can break dimensions, or he can travel through time. time, or he can bend gravity. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Lucky Roux, though, his name is most likely based off of an old comic book character from the 1940s, an old Belgian comic book called Lucky Luke. All right, so Lucky Roux, Lucky Luke, there's a similarity there. Lucky Luke is a cowboy sort of character from this 1940s comic, and he was stated to be able to shoot faster than his own shadow, which is just a really fancy, cool way of saying he's like the fastest gun in the West, fastest draw in the West. Also, the idea that Lucky Roux shoots, he actually has the first on-screen kill in the whole One Piece story. He just straight up caps one of the mountain bandits that is terrorizing Fuchsia Village. Shanks is there talking to one of the bandits, and then Lucky Roux just kind of blips into existence right next to him and just boom, just shoots one of the bandits, and he goes down. Goes through an entire cycle of reincarnation before he realizes that he's dead, and then he dies. Yeah, so Lucky Roux shows up, shoots him, and then he goes through an entire reincarnation where his soul leaves his body, reincarnates into a buffalo or something, and then lives the life of a buffalo, and then dies as a buffalo, and then comes back again as like an eagle, and then soars through the mighty heights as an eagle, and then his soul leaves again, and then migrates back into his original body as he's hitting the ground and dying. That's how fast Lucky Roux kills that bandit. So, because of the similarity of the name and because of the comparison, I think it kind of started as a meme way back in the olden days of the internet. We're talking about like Arlong Park forums kind of era, mid-2000s, where it came up as a popular meme of like Lucky Roux is the fastest. Well, now it's like 15, probably close to 20 years in the future, and it's one of those things where memes sort of skirt the boundary of like, wait a second, was that something Oda actually said, or was that just a meme from the old days of the internet? And from what I've understood, it is a meme from the old days of the internet. Now, that doesn't mean Lucky Roux is slow. He actually follows the Maurizio Omaida kind of idea where, Maurizio Omaida is this big fat guy in Bleach, but he's also the leader of the Patrol Corps in the Stealth Corps. I mean, he's a fast character. He can move quick, right? And so kind of the same thing with Lucky Roux. He has a technique that we actually did see during Film Red called self-bowling, where one of the members of the Red Hair crew actually like kicks Lucky Roux. Lucky Roux kind of turns into a giant bowling ball, and then he gets kicked and then gets sent flying around and like knocks out all of the enemies like a giant pinball machine, okay? So Lucky Roux is definitely fast, but is he faster than the speed of light? Well, I mean, he did just spawn out of nowhere. Now, was that to foreshadow that Lucky Roux has some kind of warping ability? He can bend the laws of physics itself, and so he appeared right next to the mountain bandit and then shot him where he wasn't previously there. Also, why didn't the bandits see him coming? I mean, no offense to Lucky Roux, but he seems like a guy that you would definitely notice walking to you with a gun, So, so far I'm going to say Kuma can travel at light speed, Kizaru can definitely travel at light speed, and Lucky Roux can travel beyond light speed. Yeah, let's go with that. Sure, why not? Who else do we have on this list here? Okay, I don't think, disregarding Luffy and Gear 5th, I don't think light speed travel, but definitely, well, he's fast enough to grab a lightning bolt out of the sky, so his reaction speed alone has to be on lightning level. Now, we get to a problem here where the light from lightning is definitely traveling at light speed, but the actual return stroke of a lightning bolt itself, like the plasma itself, I think is traveling wicked fast, but not quite as fast as lightning is, like the light from it itself. So it's fast, certainly, and Luffy was able to react fast enough to just whoop, yeet that out of the sky, grab it, and then turn it into a lightning bolt spear with his Devil Fruit ability, and then chuck it at Kaido. So, reaction speed alone, Luffy's got to be up there for consideration. Let's see. Oh, yes, of course. Now we get to talk about the teleportation Devil Fruit abilities, which Kuma sort of applies to that, but not really. Kuma, as he stated, is clearly traveling at light speed. So, if a character is able to teleport, does that qualify as speed, is the question. Like, when Goku uses instant transmission to transport himself from one side of the planet all the way to the other, pick up Master Roshi's glasses, and then instant transmission all the way back to Vegeta and Krillin and everybody. Does that count as Goku flying fast? No, he's not flying. He's teleporting. He's blipping out of one location and blipping into existence somewhere else. That's the whole point of teleportation. I would say that if you're going to consider the fastest character, fast implies speed, implies some mechanism. It doesn't necessarily have to be moving their feet really fast, but some mechanism under their own power to travel, and that's the key word, travel from point A to point B. As in, they are actually traveling the space between point A and point B. They aren't just blipping from point A all the way to point B, skipping over that space. They are literally traveling through it. Although, one could also argue that Goku... Well, I think this was a dub thing. I think this was a mistranslation, honestly. I think in the original dub of Dragon Ball Z, when Goku first used instant transmission, back in the old Toonami days, I think he actually says, you dematerialize and then travel as a mass of light, which would explain the speed of the travel. Like, so Goku's disassembling himself as light and then zipping to another location and then reassembling himself. But that's not actually true. I don't think in the manga that's the actual thing. I think it is quite literally teleportation, as in you are kind of bending reality at that point or opening a wormhole or something. You are not, no part of you, particles or no, are traveling in between, I keep hitting the microphone, sorry, are traveling in between that space, between point A and point B. It is blip out of existence, rend a hole in the dimensional fabric or whatever, and then boop, pop in the other location. Point is, does that count as speed? I would argue it doesn't, honestly. I would say that if you're able to straight up teleport, it's not really about speed at that point. It's more about dimensional rifts and wormholes and messing with that rather than messing with actually just like, oh, I'm running really fast, or I can fly really fast, or I can spin really fast. That's your superpower. You could travel at near light speed, but you have to do it while spinning, you know? Okay, so then we get to Van Augur, as using Goku as an example. We have Augur, who has the ability of the Warp Fruit. Now, this is a Devil Fruit power that was just recently revealed in the manga, and we didn't really get to see that much of it yet. It is the ability to warp people to other locations. We saw him use this ability warping Burgess from the deck of the ship to the island, Winner Island or Wiener Island, where Law's crew was, and this was instantaneous. So very clearly it is a level of teleportation that's instant travel. However, we don't exactly know the range of what Augur can do with this yet. I think being able to transport anywhere on the planet would be kind of broken as a Devil Fruit ability, but being able to travel anywhere that Augur himself has been before, I think that might be more reasonable, or rather at least a place that he could see with his eyes. And Augur is a sniper, and he has a really good sense of vision, so he could see several kilometers away already. So this is really the perfect fruit for him, if either it's anywhere he's been before or anywhere he can physically see. It could be both. I don't think it's anywhere that he can immediately travel, like, you know, oh, I can travel to Laugh Tale even though I've never been there before and have no idea where it is. I think he has to at least have a general idea of where he's sending himself or other people that he's teleporting. But does this count toward Augur being, you know, fast if he's able to just directly warp people, like opening a portal in Portal? I would say it's a different category. I would say it's a teleportation category rather than a speed category there. We also have Law. Of course, Law can open up his room, which has effects similar to the Warp Fruit, except there is one stipulation that people honestly often forget about Law that's very important, is when he opens up his room, he has to swap objects with other ones. He can't just warp somebody to a location. He has to warp something else back to his location, okay? So if Law wanted to transport Sanji to, you know, this other building that's in his room, he can do that, but there has to be something in that building that can swap out from where Sanji is. And the manga is always very good with that. Oda always makes a point to use that as, like, he's teleporting something. Like, when he warped all of the scabbards to Onigashima from the polar tang onto the shore of the island, I think he used the snow, because there was falling snow, and so he just switched out the snow and had them land there. When he was fighting Doflamingo, I think he actually had to pick up, he was on the ground on green bits, Doflamingo was in the sky fighting Sanji, and Doflamingo's about to use overheat to, like, slice Sanji in half. So Law picks up, like, a log off the ground, throws it into the air, opens up room, switch places with the log, and then that gets him close enough to switch with Doflamingo, and then Doflamingo's attack is knocked off. Okay? So keep that in mind with laws. So honestly, even if we're regarding teleportation as a different category, I feel like Augur would still rank higher than Law in that respect, because Law is limited by a number of things that we know of. He's limited by the space of his room, which Law can make really big rooms. He can make rooms like the size of, I don't know if cities, but pretty damn big, bubbles. But, that lowers his life expectancy when he does that, so he doesn't like to make rooms quite that big. He only kind of did that against Doflamingo because he really wanted Doflamingo dead. So he had to go crazy with that. But normally his rooms are big, but he couldn't cover like the entire island of Wano in a room or something like that. I feel like doing something that big would kill him. So there is a limit with that. And he also has the limit of switching something out. So if there's not something he can switch out with in the area he wants to teleport to, then he can't do it. So I would say with all that being regarded, Law's teleportation ability, it's handy, but it's definitely not the most efficient. So yeah, let's see. Luffy, Kizaru, Augur, Kuma, Lucky Roux, Shanks. Okay, Shanks. Shanks is really fast. Now, he's not the teleporting kind. He is the straight up, like, leg day. He's the sort of, running kind of speed. Now, you could say, because Shanks did rocket from the Red Force in a straight line over to the Victoria Punk, which was like, I would say a decent distance away, maybe at least a kilometer or so away, maybe a little closer than that, but it was a distance, okay? You could say Shanks was using a version of Geppo or like his version of Skywalk or whatever in order to get there. I don't even think Shanks was doing that, though, to be honest with you. I think Shanks literally just sensed the intent of Eustace Kid obliterating the fleet, and then Shanks just jumped off the Red Force with such oomph that he just rocketed straight over, and Shanks is a master at this point. Okay, he is a Yonko. He is an emperor. So he knows exactly how much force to just jump off his ship and land on another ship that's like maybe a kilometer or so away or maybe a little closer. Like, he can do that no issue, all right? Also, Shanks hasn't eaten a devil fruit, so he could land in the water and be perfectly fine. So he doesn't have to worry about that kind of stuff, right? So in terms of, like, a straight-up foot race without getting any devil fruit abilities involved here, so without getting Kuma's Paw Fruit involved, without getting Kizaru's Pika Pika no Mi involved, Luffy's, Sun God Fruit involved, Augur's Warp, Law's Room, any of that stuff, I think in an actual just straight up fair and square foot race, relying on nothing else other than the muscles in your legs and your stamina and your endurance as somebody that runs really fast, not flying, not doing anything like that, no hockey involved, nothing, in a straight up foot race, I would argue Shanks could win. It is the fastest in that regard in the One Piece world. There's some other characters that would definitely be up there. Like, I would imagine some of the Marines, like, Kobe's pretty fast, although not quite on Shanks' level yet. The Admirals would be pretty formidable. Like, even without using their Devil Fruit abilities, I feel like Kizaru would be pretty fast, like, just being able to run. I mean, but also they're very tall and lanky, you know what I mean? So, yeah, maybe Tamago would win in a foot race because he's a long leg tribe member. Like, they just, like, Blue Gilly, they just, like, run. They take bigger steps or whatever. But no, I think in just a straight-up foot race without any hockey, Devil Fruits, anything else involved, I think Shanks would probably be the fastest. Or maybe Lucky Roux in that regard. Shanks is there and he's just like, well, I'm pretty fast in my own right, but Lucky Roux here, man, he could outrun anybody in a foot race, or maybe not even a foot race. Well, maybe in that regard, Lucky Roux turning into a cannonball and, like, rolling down the track, that might not be, that I said foot race, not, like, doing anything else, but just a foot race, using your legs. Your feet and your legs have to be used, to run. In that regard, we have Shanks. But yeah, then we get to Kizaru, and the question with Kizaru that I often have is, like, if Kizaru could truly move at light speed, he should be at Egghead Island already. Now, granted, he's coming with a fleet, and he also has to guard the member of the Gorosei, St. J. Garcia. And even if he could travel at true light speed, bringing people along is probably not feasible. That would make sense. So it makes sense why he couldn't do that. But you just think that, like, Kizaru should really be able to essentially travel to any location on the planet like that, in order to, quash some pirate uprisings or the revolutionaries or whatever. Like, he should be kind of everywhere all at once, kind of. But then you also have to look at Kizaru's personality, which he's a more laid-back kind of like, hey, everybody, it's whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, I could lightspeed travel over to Sabaody right now and deal with it right quick, but you know what I mean? And then when the ship got close to Sabaody, then he just immediately zips over to the island and destroys one of the mangrove trees. So he is able to do that. It's just that he just doesn't feel like it, you know? And you got to respect that from Kizaru, okay? Just because, hey, look, let's say you had the ability to transport yourself anywhere on the entire planet instantly. That doesn't mean you have to all the time. You know, just like, let's say you go down the street to like a local sub shop, like a little diner, and you're eating there, and you're like, dude, you have the ability to teleport anywhere in the world. You could transport yourself to Paris or Japan or anywhere on the planet to, like, fine dining, you know? And you're just sitting there like, yeah, but I like this diner right down the street from my house. You could travel. You don't have to walk anywhere. Yeah, but I like walking. It's a nice day out. That's just how it goes, man. Okay. Well, anyway, I hope this video did not answer the question of who the fastest character in One Piece is. April Fool's version 2. But no, seriously, like, if Kizaru could straight up travel at light speed with no limitations other than his own personality, then yeah, sure, Kizaru's the fastest. But if Kuma can transport himself at light speed, I guess he's tied with Kizaru, because there's nothing faster than light speed, except this is anime, so there probably is something faster than light speed, because the rules are just kind of whatever the mangakas make them, right? You know, Luffy has reaction time to grab a lightning bolt out of the sky, so fastest reaction speed to Luffy. Shanks is probably the fastest in a foot race. There you go. All right. And in terms of straight up teleportation based abilities, I'd probably go with Augur on that one. So, okay, there we go. There we have it. Sorry, Brooke. You're no longer the fastest. I apologize. Also, I think we're going to be done with snake facts here. I think we're a new month, and I think we're going to be moving on to the letter T now. And I've already decided, do not worry, kind of ironic considering the topic of today's video. But the next animal fact that we're going to be starting next time is going to be the letter T for turtles. The turtle facts. Oh, I have waited for this day. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Teching and Barry signing out. Later, everybody.